You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, the JPD sets up a GoFundMe to help those affected by the shooting that happened Tuesday.
Travel conditions first and foremost on everybody's mind as the snow continues to fall all throughout the four-state morning. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And gotta go fast. Today's Game On is about racing. Well, all that and more coming up.
The four states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Another local business is showing support by selling coffee and milkshakes. Joplin Greenhouse is hosting a Back the Blue fundraiser. Starting yesterday through March 14th, all proceeds from these menu items will be donated directly to the families of the fallen and injured officers. The tragedy deepens from Tuesday's shooting of 3 Joplin police officers. Police say a second officer will not survive. In a news conference yesterday afternoon, police and city leaders identified officer as Patrol Officer Jake Reed. Police Chief Sloan Rowland made the announcement after consulting with Reed's family. Officer Reed was 5 years into his career. Authorities say Reed is an organ donor and will continue saving lives after giving his own for the safety of the community. This news comes as the four states grieves for the loss of Corporal Benjamin Cooper, who died from injuries suffered in the same shootout near 4th and Rangeline in Joplin. Police yesterday afternoon also released the name of the officer who was shot but survived. His name, Rick Hershey. He was shot in the second encounter with a suspect near 9th in Connecticut. Hershey is in serious but stable condition. He served over 20 years with the JPD. Officials also highlighted Captain William Davis, who shot the suspect. Davis was not shot himself. He has served more than 15 years in the department. Chief Rowland says Davis's actions saved more lives.
It should be noted that Captain Davis left a position of cover, exposing himself while the suspect was firing a weapon at officers. If not for Captain Davis's actions, additional officers or citizens could have been killed. We ask that you also pray for Will and his family in the days to come.
The knowledge and the skill that he has in his head and his body is significant. But at the same time, his heart is bigger than that skill. And so I'm so thankful that he was able and capable and prepared and successful. But at the same time, I certainly want to honor all of the work that he's done at JPD.
City has not yet announced plans for funeral services. City leaders thank the citizens and their community for the outpouring of support. You can see the entire news conference from yesterday afternoon on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. On Thursday, Missouri Southern faculty hosted a panel to discuss the war in Ukraine. The panel included 2 history professors, political scientist, and an international business professor who has spent time in Ukraine. The school also announced a scholarship fund for area high school students from Ukraine to attend MSSU.
I know we're all kind of worried about this at this time, but there is good in this world, and this world is overwhelmingly good, and we need to remember that no matter what happens, there will always be good.
Billingsley Student Center's Phelps Theater hosted the panel. Back to our top story. Area businesses are also getting involved in raising money. Joplin Sports and Graphics is making shirts and hats with the slogan Joplin Strong. They say all of the proceeds will go to the families of the 3 officers who were shot.
It reminds me how much of a community that we are. I watched this rally after the tornado and really step up, and I think that we're going to do the same with this situation.
Organizers say the shirts and the hats will cost $25 each. They can be purchased until March 20th. Planned Parenthood is suing Missouri over an effort to defund it. The lawsuit aims to force the state to continue reimbursing it for health care for Medicaid patients. Republican-led legislature in February passed a bill to block any public funding from going to Planned Parenthood, including clinics that do not provide abortions. Planned Parenthood says they will stop receiving reimbursement for Medicaid patients at the end of today. Well, the director of Black Panther was detained by Atlanta police after being mistaken for a bank robber. According to reports, Ryan Coogler was attempting to withdraw $12,000 from his account. He'd written a note on the back of the withdrawal slip asking for the cash to be counted discreetly due to the amount. The teller notified her supervisor that she thought Kugler was trying to rob the bank. 911 was called. Kugler was placed in handcuffs while police investigated and was released once his identity was confirmed. While Kugler says the situation should never have happened, he adds that it's been, quote, addressed to my satisfaction. Bank of America issued a statement apologizing for the incident. Kugler was in Atlanta working on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, sequel to his 2018 hit at the time. The film is expected to be released later this year.
It almost seemed like a lack of communication, poor flow.
Why can't you use your words, and why does it have to be written on a piece of paper?
Right. Well, sometimes things don't flow the way we intend them to. The fact that I can make you laugh makes my Friday. I'm not going to lie to you about that. The fact that I can actually see you viscerally show emotion on air.
Oh, if our
we
viewers
go?
only knew.
This is where I need my PVC sticks and my little curtain. Like when we peel back the curtain. Folks, there are some times where, yeah, certainly it's like, haha, that's good and whatnot. That right there, whenever I see Tanya, especially when I see her clinch and do this and laugh, that's when I know, like, that is a true emotional laugh that I got out of her. And whenever I see one of those, I'm like, yeah, got her to laugh on air.
It'll be okay.
Right, and so like the gentleman at the bank, like he walked out of there and he reflected upon the last 6 minutes.
You should never assume that everybody knows who you are.
Whoa!
For
Don't
sure.
you ever assume. You know what
Don't
happens.
ever assume.
Don't you say that on air.
No, I won't.
FCC is watching.
So never assume that people just know who you are. Plus, like I said, use your words. Like, why would you write a note to a bank teller and slip it on a piece of paper?
That is spoken like such a parent. You sound exactly like, use your words.
If you wanted to withdraw a large amount and be discreet about it, call ahead, set up a private meeting. They have offices in banks.
I wish I had that much to my name that I could call somebody and set up a meeting. Wouldn't that be great? Like call a Swiss bank account and be like, we need to meet.
Yeah.
I would like for the gentleman to meet me in white gloves as well.
That teller did nothing wrong.
When he turns the key and he gives me the safety deposit box and he walks out of the room.
I feel like I want to sit down with Mr. Kugler and scold him for his actions.
Well, you already told him to use his words. That's what I feel like you're doing.
I did. That's what I say to my 7-year-old.
I know.
Words.
That's what I was worried about. Okay, Tanya, we're dealing with snow over 7th and Range Line. Please, everybody slow down. And while our road crews are doing great work getting those cleared off, we certainly do have slick spots on overpasses and bridges. Everybody up to the northwest, you are done for the day. Central southeastern portions still to come. We're up to 3 inches right now in Pittsburgh. We're approaching 2 inches in Joplin, and so by the time we get to Miami, Neosho, down into Anderson, we're going to be picking up easily 2 inches as well. Temperature is going to be stuck in the 30s. Snow's not going to go anywhere. Overnight, wind chill is going to drop down to the negatives. A cool Saturday, finally close to 60 on Sunday.
Up next, we'll have chemo affects the brain even after you're long done with it. And later, we'll have who was unmasked on this week's premiere episode of The Masked Singer. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. In fact, there are almost 17 million cancer survivors in the U.S., but the side effects of treating cancer, especially the side effects of chemotherapy, can be long-lasting. Nearly every chemo patient experiences some short-term problems with their memory, and some of those people will feel the impact for the rest of their lives. But there may be a simple solution to ease the impact of chemo brain.
Tessa Ghazi was young, vibrant, healthy.
And one day, just after a run, I was like, my breast hurts. And it hadn't done that before. And I was like, okay. So when I was taking my shower after, I felt the lump.
Tessa was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma. Tessa underwent a double mastectomy and chemotherapy. And although both have their side effects, it was the chemo that threw her for a loop.
Most patients diagnosed with cancer will experience some degree of cognitive decline throughout their cancer experience.
Chemo brain usually improves within 9 to 12 months, but up to 20% may have long-term effects, including problems with memory, word retrieval, concentration following instructions, multitasking, and setting priorities. A study from Washington University in St. Louis found that once diagnosed, rest may not be the best medicine.
Patients may benefit more from moving their bodies and being physically active in the days and weeks leading up to treatment, rather than just sitting and resting.
Another study out of Dana-Farber suggests aerobic exercises like walking, running, dancing, or cycling have the most impact. Tessa found her focus by spinning.
It's kind of been a lifesaver.
And hopes to pedal her way through cancer.
Although doctors do not know what causes chemo brain, theories include the anxiety and stress related to the cancer diagnosis. Also, cancer medications like tamoxifen, may contribute to prolonged cognitive symptoms rather than those who receive only chemotherapy. Well, a new treat crams 2 of your favorite comfort foods together to save you on dining time. Okay, so life is short. Why don't you combine your dinner and dessert into one? Time-saving Munch ice cream maker Van Leeuwen has concocted pizza ice cream. It's a pint-sized delight made from a cream cheese and mozzarella base with a tomato jam swirl and basil crust cookies. I don't know about basil and ice cream. That's okay. But it's at Walmart for 10 weeks, starting March 14th. That's when you'll start to see it. You'll also find its Kraft mac and cheese, royal wedding cake, wild blueberry shortcake, bourbon cherries jubilee, Planet Earth, and hot honey ice cream at Walmart as well. Michael, would you eat an ice cream called Planet Earth? Would it taste like dirt?
Some people really enjoy that. I've heard people talk about that earthy smell that they actually do like. So.
Well, I guess coffee has that earthy smell to it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Coffee flavored ice cream? I don't know.
Right.
Pizza ice cream?
So here we stand on the Skywatch storm tracker, starting to pick up some storm reports as much as 2 to 3 inches in the central portion of the 4 states. Now, everybody up to the northwest, you are done for the day, so at least there's some relief as we see the winter weather advisories begin to knock off the map from the west up to the north. However, everybody down to the south and central portion of the 4 states, that will last up until our probably afternoon hours, as the storm system is going to drop anywhere from 3 to 4 inches is what we're looking at right now, with temperatures only rising into the 30s and overnight lows. Wind chills will be negatives. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Masked Singer competition back on with season 7. We spoke with the first contestant recently revealed. Here's our own Ashley Dvorkin.
A culinary rock star showed off his musical chops on Fox's The Masked Singer. Duff Goldman is Mick Terrier.
Everybody knows that I'm the cake guy. I make cookies, I make cakes and stuff like that. And being able to do another thing that I sort of, is part of my life, music is a big part of my life, and being able to sort of share that with everybody was really nice.
His bandmates were among those most surprised.
They were all texting me like, dude, my kids are watching Masked Singer.
As for that character, Goldman prepped watching Mike Myers movies.
I was really happy when they said that I was Mike Myers, because I was like, well, I'm not actually doing an impression of a Scottish accent. I'm doing an impression of Mike Myers doing an impression of a Scottish accent.
It was a fun new experience for the Food Network star.
What is a recipe that you hear fans at home try the most of yours? They say, oh, I saw this creation and I had to try it.
Oh, man, that's a great question. I'm writing a cookie book right now. And so we're actually doing the photography upstairs, as we speak. And I think my thin, crispy chocolate chip cookies are one that people constantly come for.
The failed attempts, do people actually share those with you? Like, okay, I tried. Here's what it actually looked like.
They do. And people that follow me on social media know that when people send me a picture and they say, what do you think? I tell them exactly what I think. And the thing is, I'm not if somebody sends me something that's a big pile of mess, I'm not being like, you can't bake. I'm like, okay, you got a big pile of mess. Here's how you fix it.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
15-year-old Tyson getting a lot more than he could have ever dreamed of when he attends public school for the first time. A story about an autistic teen meeting a champion marathoner and deciding he'll run his first marathon. New movie Tyson's Run is out in select theaters this weekend. An all-star cast helping Lionel Richie celebrate winning the Gershwin Prize for Popular Song. On the red carpet, he talked about what the award from the Library of Congress means to him, and he said, quote, "This is an amazing honor," as my grandmother would say, quote, "This is about as high cotton as you're going to get." Grandmother used to say the same thing. Concert will air on PBS stations on May 17th, and for those of you that know your Lionel Richie songs, remember, I love you still. Here's a look at the just named host of the 2022 CMT Music Awards next month. Country music star Kelsey Ballerini and actor Anthony Mackie doing the honors. Ballerini's second year hosting. It will be Mackie's first year to host the award shows. Our entertainment report goes international, from a documentary about a remarkable South African woman to a Swedish band, we know who that would be, getting into a truly American sport. David Daniel has our Hollywood Minute.
I love to talk to people. I love to meet people. Whoever told you that I am old, look at me. But I try to never talk about my suffering and fight for survival.
Ella Blumenthal survived the Warsaw Ghetto and 3 concentration camps. The now 100-year-old Holocaust survivor tells her story in the award-winning documentary, I Am Here. Director Jordi Sank, who met Blumenthal when he was a teenager, sees the film as a vital history lesson.
It's palatable for a much younger audience, and that younger audience is essential in continuing the legacy when there's no more survivors of the Holocaust.
I Am Here opens in U.S. theaters Friday. Ghost hits the track. The Grammy-winning metal band is the primary sponsor of NASCAR Infinity driver Bailey Currie's No. 4 Chevrolet. The car debuts at Saturday's United Rentals 200 at Phoenix Raceway. Ghost's new album, Impera, is out Friday. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
It's absolutely so thrown off of our game right now. We thought it was going to be ABBA. Ron and I were sitting here. We were talking about ABBA songs. And then that happened. Who knew? All right, as the snow continues to move from the northwest down to the southeast, we're picking up storm reports here. We can get to our latest reports coming out of Crawford County and also Vernon County. We'll remove our cloud cover, give you a better indication exactly where we're seeing the heaviest snow. And then as we zoom in on these reports, let's take the one right over Pittsburgh right now, where that is up to 3 inches in Crawford County. And then the one up in Nevada, that is going to be 4.1 inches in Vernon County. Right below Nevada, this is our most recent one along I-49 in Barton County at 4 inches. The earlier one coming out of Joplin, now I want to point out that top line, remember, that comes from before 5 a.m. And so while it says half an inch, it has continued to fall down. So right now we're at 2.5 inches in Joplin proper, and going to end up with around 3.5 to 4 as it continues to fall through the later morning hours. Also, too, of note, even though the snow is going to pass out by this afternoon, please, if you're out and about tonight, make sure that you've got spare clothing and blankets just in case, forbid, something should happen, because our overnight lows are going to have negative wind chills. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Harrison Abercrombie. Abercrombie served in the Air Force. He served in Da Nang, Vietnam from 1967 to 1968. His hometown, Knoll, Missouri. We thank you, today's four-state hero, Harrison Abercrombie. A trio of new racing video games are hitting the track. Rick Damagella reports.
The stage is set, the green flag drops for 3 very different racing games out now. Gran Turismo 7 takes the pole position in this treaded trio. The first entry in the series since 2013 brings the racing action to both the PlayStation 4 and 5, with the newest generation of consoles hitting top speeds of 60 frames per second in 4K resolution. For a lower tech drive around the track, there is Retropixel Racers. Previously a PC exclusive, the old school top-down racer is now drivable on the Nintendo Switch and Xbox.
Ready, set, Chocobo!
Chocobo GP features kart racing with a Final Fantasy flair, featuring characters and locales from the long-running game series. GP is a follow-up to 1999's Chocobo Racing and is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, we take a look at a lighthouse that's in the middle of the woods instead of the shore. Find out why. And a dad goes viral because of an unreleased disco track his son found. Better hide those tapes, parents. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
Don't miss Ashley's anniversary.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. As Joplin continues to mourn the loss of Corporal Ben Cooper, the city receives further tragic news. During a news conference held yesterday afternoon, Joplin authorities announced that a second police officer, Patrolman Jake Reed, will not recover from his injuries. Police say Reed was one of the 2 officers who responded to the initial call of a disturbance in a shopping area near 4th and Range Line Tuesday, where they exchanged gunfire with suspect Anthony Felix. That's where both Reed and Corporal Ben Cooper were fatally shot. Felix stole a police car that crashed near 9th and Connecticut, the site of a second gunfight where the 3rd officer, Rick Hershey, was shot. It was after this encounter that Captain William Davis, a 15-year veteran of the force, shot and killed Anthony Felix. It was announced that Patrolman Jake Reed, a 5-year veteran of the force, was an organ donor, and that plans are underway for Reed to continue his heroism even in death. A lot of 4-staters are asking, how can I help? A spokesman for the JPD says one way is by donating to the Joplin Fraternal Order of Police Foundation. Foundation set up a GoFundMe to collect donations for the families of the officers involved. Donations can also be made at the department. We provided a link to the GoFundMe on our website at koamnewsnow.com. Area businesses are also getting involved in raising money. Joplin Sports and Graphics is making shirts and hats with the slogan, Joplin Strong. They say all of the proceeds will go to the families of the 3 officers who were shot.
It reminds me how much of a community that we are. I watched this rally after the tornado and really step up, and I think that we're going to do the same with this situation.
Organizers say the shirts and the hats will cost $25 each. They can be purchased until March 20th. Another local business is showing support by selling coffee and milkshakes. Joplin Greenhouse is hosting Back the Blue fundraiser. It started yesterday and runs through March 14th. All proceeds from these menu items will be donated directly to the families of the fallen and injured officers. Joplin Greenhouse will also be accepting cards or written notes to the families that will be hand-delivered at the beginning of next week. On Thursday, Missouri Southern faculty donated a panel to discuss the war in Ukraine. The panel included 2 history professors, a political scientist, and an international business professor who has spent time in Ukraine. School also announced a scholarship fund for area high school students from Ukraine to attend MSSU.
I know we're all kind of worried about this at this time, but there is good in this world. And this world is overwhelmingly good. And we need to remember that no matter what happens, there will always be good.
Billingsley Student Center's Phelps Theater hosted the panel. The war in Ukraine is escalating by the hour, with Russian forces approaching the country's capital city. Well, overseas in Poland, Vice President Kamala Harris stressed the unity the 2 countries have in the ongoing response to Russia's aggression. Biden administration continues to face criticism after shutting down Poland's offer to give Ukraine fighter jets. Madeline Rivera has more details from Washington.
The United States is prepared to defend every inch of NATO territory.
In a high-stakes trip to Poland, Vice President Kamala Harris underscored the United States' commitment to NATO and embraced calls for an international war crimes investigation of Russia for invading Ukraine.
Any intentional attack on innocent civilians is a violation.
Harris trying to portray a united alliance with Poland's president after the U.S. was blindsided by a Polish proposal to send fighter jets to a U.S. NATO base in Germany so that they can then go to Ukraine. The Biden administration rejected the move over fears that it would make the conflict worse, drawing criticism.
All of a sudden, it was okay for Poland to give the jets, but when we're in the delivery chain, it's an escalation.
President Biden, meanwhile, touting the West's sanctions against Russia.
And our economic sanctions are crippling the Russian economy right now.
While regular civilians take action too, this Illinois couple raising at least $18,000 and collecting donations like sleeping bags, first aid kits, and other medical supplies to send to Ukraine.
I know Ukrainians are strong, and not strong physically, strong at heart. And that's what makes us powerful.
Congress is also at work. The House recently passed legislation that includes more than $13 billion in aid for Ukraine. Well, check this out. Scientists have discovered a new colorful species of fish hiding in the coral reefs of the Maldives. Now, the new species belongs to the wrasse family, which consists of largely bright-colored fish. Its scientific name honors the pink rose, the Maldivian national flower. Scientists say the colorful species can be found living anywhere from 131 to 229 feet under the sea.
Oh! Back at it, are you?
That's not what my script said, but I changed it just
yeah,
for
I
you.
knew that was classic by you. So once again, we peel back the curtain. I was privy enough to be a audience member of a musical of The Little Mermaid, and the cast was spectacular. But Tanya has been holding that line under the sea over my head for several days now.
Credit to our producers for throwing that one in there for us.
And then
making
also
it so easy for me.
Our behind the camera, Ron, who has now picked up the gist of making sure you get the last word in right before the mic light goes on, knowing that I cannot have a rebuttal. So he gets the show. And yeah, he just did that to me right there. And so I got to figure that one out. Also, too, while you were reading that story, because my daughter's birthday is today, did you ever read the story of, I believe it's called The Rainbow Fish, to your children?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what, when you popped that up, that was the first thing I thought about, was reading.
I think we have like a blue hardback version that had a rainbow fish on the front or something like that.
It's not, I cannot remember who actually did the story. It's not Eric Carle, but it's very reminiscent of Eric Carle's stories, and in that same vein. And while you were reading that, I immediately hearkened back. So for all of you parents that have read, and you grandparents that have read The Rainbow Fish to your children, know that's not lost on us. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a great story about sharing.
Can we just stay on that beach scene there, not go to our weather shot?
Tim, this is impossible that I ask you this. Tim, is it possible to do double boxes? I know, I just put Tim on the spot. Tim is our marvelous director.
I guess
But here's the great thing, is that he can pull off anything. I tell you what we'll do is, to make you happy, Tanya, since I put Tim on the spot right there, he will pull this off. We'll come back, we'll talk about our 2 to 4 inches of snow that's fallen, and put you...
hey, look in front.
And make sure that
Michael,
you get your beach as well. Oh, thank you. The Rainbow Fish is by Marcus Pfister. And look at what Tim has been able to pull off for us.
But that is not what we want to see in those double boxes. We need beach scenes
and
warmth.
No.
And comfort.
Look, we put Tim on the spot, and look at what.
It gave us our double boxes. You didn't say what you wanted in the double boxes,
No,
Michael.
that's because he's
You did not
marvelous.
specify.
But we are talking about travel concerns this morning because earlier,
importantly.
At the intersection of 44 and Rangeline, we did have emergency vehicles out. So please know that there are slippery spots out there. We didn't have a whole lot of freezing drizzle or the wintry mix. We had a quick transition over into the snow that is now pushing down from the northwest to the southeast, and we're easily going to pick up 2 to 4 inches as it progresses through. We've already got 4 inches up in Vernon County and 3 inches there in Crawford County. Now, in the northwestern portion here, as it clears out, you're done for the day. So that's nice. But once again, our major thoroughfares, and that's evident right there, what Tim is showing us at 7th and Rangeline, very, very slippery. Everybody, just slow down, okay? Just give it a couple more hours. We'll be done with this on the latter half of I-44 here, probably about 2 p.m. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota.
This morning, discussing baseball and the return of baseball season. Off to a little bit of a rough start. That's because of a 99-day lockout on the owner's side. Now, we have reached an agreement as of last night, and so opening day slated to start April 7. And evidently, they're going to squeeze in all 162 games, and that's going to include 9-inning doubleheaders, so no 7-inning doubleheaders. Extra inning games will not have any ghost runners like we had last year with the runner that started on second base. And folks, you know what that's called? That's called filling content for your regional sports networks. Because the longer a game goes, you know what you can do? Sell more commercial spots. Our question for you this morning, are you excited for baseball season to start? 53% of you, we've seen a little switch now. 53% say, no, not waiting for it. 47% say yes. As a matter of fact, it was yesterday that would have been, it would have been 3 weeks ago from yesterday that we would have had all 30 major league teams start at the last day of March, and it would have been the first time since 1968 that we had all Major League Baseball teams open the season on the same day. So it seems like we've just blown that out of the water. All right, Minnesota's North Shore is known for its lighthouses, but it's a large state, and there's also a middle of it. John Lawrenson shows us how a landmark has become a beacon of light in the middle of Morrison County.
He had wanted to build the tree house, and it took you about 5 years to talk me into it.
At the Lang property near Uppsala, projects are constantly in the works, and the next one is always bigger than the last one.
We spend most of our time building places to sit, but never sit.
Instead of building a cabin, the Langs built a tree house, and just when they thought they were done being creative, Dean got a bright idea.
What was your reaction when you first said, I want to build a lighthouse on the property?
Honestly, probably not as surprised as most kids would be.
A lover of lighthouses, Dean studied them on the internet and got a close look at Split Rock and Two Harbors before making a model to get an idea of just how much wood it would take.
At some points, it just seemed like, how are we ever going to finish this?
They began construction just before COVID hit, and then they powered through the pandemic, building from the inside out. Both Kendra and her brother Sam helped their dad during the 2 years of construction, creating 6 floors from scratch, and at times putting 1,100-pound beams in their place.
The people, like especially carpenters or people that work with wood, a lot of them look around at the beams and kind of are in awe with how we got it done.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be anything like this when it was done, but yeah, it turned out really good.
Repurposing was key. A 275-pound tree stump became a table. The flooring on the 5th floor is from the old Catholic church in Uppsala.
At the very top is the crow's nest. It's 50 feet up, or 79 steps from the bottom to the top.
There are bedrooms and bathrooms from the 1st floor all the way up.
This brings us up to level 4.
Each has a nautical feel in the middle of the country.
So when you're sitting around having libations and the argument comes up, which way is north?
Just look at the
Here's
floor.
the answer right
Yeah,
here.
just look at the floor.
In this landlocked lighthouse, the inside spirals and narrows the higher you go.
And here's out onto the open.
And no matter what the season, the scenery is spectacular. But instead of ships in the distance, you see silos, and endless waves are replaced by endless woods.
We've been married for 32 years, I think, and I always think whatever project we're on is our last project, but we never seem to be done. So we'll see if this is the last project.
I'm not gonna lie to you, that looks awesome right there. Now they rented out, they have it listed on Verbo if you're interested. They wanted to thank friends and neighbors for lending a hand with the construction at various times, and what they pulled off looks absolutely phenomenal. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Here's where we stand snow-wise on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We're looking at storm reports coming out of Vernon County that are already up to 4 inches. Now, as you push up to the northeast, I want you to know that you are pretty much done for the day. Give you a live look as well at I-44 right there. I'm going to guess that is mile marker, is that 18? That's what I thought. Thank you, Tim. And thank you, Ron. That's mile marker 18 right there at I-44. And you can tell traffic very, very slow. So let's go ahead and make sure that you give yourself plenty of room between you and other vehicles. And also, too, get a head start on your way out the door this morning. Don't belabor the point. There we are over 7th and Rangeline, where you can tell everybody's slowing down immensely before they get to the stoplight there. 21 degrees is where we stand, and we're going to go ahead and ride this all the way into the afternoon hours, as it's going to push eventually south of I-44 about 2-3 o'clock. But that's why those winter weather advisories, they hang on all the way until 6 o'clock tonight. Our temperature is going to be stuck in the 30s, and the snow is going to stick around, and here's why. Because tonight into tomorrow, we're talking about frigid cold weather to the point where we'll have negative wind chills, an overnight low around 11. Saturday's high only 37. Then finally on Sunday, a little bit of a melt as we'll push up to 60 degrees. Next week, not looking too bad. Kind of just below average temperatures for Monday and Tuesday, and then well above average for Wednesday and, of course, Thursday, marking St. Patrick's Day. While we're talking about icons on the bottom of your screen there, don't forget to spring that clock forward 1 hour, either when you go to bed Saturday night or wake up on Sunday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. So we built the SUV of the future for everyone. Ford Edge. With all new Sync 4A with a 12-inch touchscreen and available enhanced active park assist, it's built to make life easier. Because the SUV of the future isn't built for a few. It's built for America. Ford Edge. Drive one today. Get a 2022 Ford Edge with 2.9% financing for 60 months plus $1,000 bonus cash. Only at your Midwest Ford dealers.
Being a small business owner is never easy, but the UPS store is here to lend an ing or two, or 12, like helping Mick's Surf Shop do a little shredding.
Surf's up.
Yeah, not that kind of shredding. More like this.
Gnarly.
Also, you can focus more on your ing, like hitting the waves. The UPS store, every ing for small business, all in one place.
The UPS store.
Shredding services are provided by Iron Mountain.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Invading Russian forces are said to be just miles from the city's center of Kyiv, Ukrainian capital. U.S. officials says Russian forces could encircle the capital within 1 to 2 weeks. International cries for a war crimes investigation are growing after this week's deadly airstrike on a maternity and children's hospital in the port city of Mariupol. In Chicago, actor Jussie Smollett was sentenced to 150 days in jail for staging a fake racist and anti-gay attack on himself and then lying about it to police. Smollett was convicted last year on 5 of 6 charges of disorderly conduct stemming from the January 2019 incident. Major League Baseball training camps in Florida and Arizona are set to open today after players and owners strike a deal. Players Association accepted management's offer, ending a 99-day lockout that delayed spring training and raised the possibility of regular season games to be called off for the first time since 1995. Checking with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Tanya, the central and southern portions of the 4 states are going to be embroiled with snowfall for the next several hours. Everybody up to the north and northwest. That is pretty much done for the time being. There's a live look from the Arkansas Department of Transportation down in Bella Vista. Ron, am I right? Yep. Thank you, Tim. Great shot right there. Thanks in part to our great director, Tim, who pops these shots up, gives you an idea of your travel concerns. And it really doesn't matter whether you're going north, south, east, or west. You're going to run into snow-covered roads, and they are slick as well. We're already sitting at about 4 inches of accumulation up to the north. For those of you down to the south, anticipate another 1 to 2 inches before it's done this afternoon. Overnight, be prepared for dangerously cold weather, down to 11 degrees. Factor in the wind chill, it'll be about -5.
All right, well, Lady Gaga is doing even more to support the mental health of young people.
Do I have your permission?
Do it.
Okay.
Superstar singer and actor has launched a free online mental health course for youth called the Be There Certificate.
Rah, rah, ah, ah, ah.
It was created by Jack.org in partnership with Gaga's Born This Way Foundation.
Roma.
This course,
Roma.
This course helps young people recognize when some are struggling with their mental health. It also aims to teach young people to support each other in a safe, confident, and kind way.
Rah, rah, ah, ah, ah.
The course is available in English, French, and Spanish, and you can find it at BeThereCertificate.org.
Ooh la la, want your bad romance.
There you go.
I think we did pretty well with that. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
It's spring again.